So Carie Wailgum, you are the Donor Relations Coordinator for the West Texas Rehabilitation Center. I know a lot of West Texans obviously know what the rehab is, but for those who don't, explain what the mission is of the Rehab Center.
Sure. Our mission over at West Texas Rehabilitation Center is to provide superior outpatient care to all the people that walk through our doors, regardless of their financial circumstance. So we have various services including physical therapy, occupational therapy, orthotics and prosthetics, and these services are provided whether someone has insurance, they're underinsured, or not insured at all.
And so you provide services to people who cannot afford to pay.
Correct, we do. There's an application process through our donor sponsorship program, and we make sure that their needs get covered.
And that's sort of where you come in, is you are the Donor Relations Coordinator. Talk about what your role is there at the West Texas Rehabilitation Center.
Well, my role is really twofold. Of course, the main responsibility is fundraising. We have certain goals and needs. We have almost 600 patients a day that walk through the doors of our 3 facilities in Abilene, San Angelo, and Ozona. Roughly a third of those patients need some form of financial assistance, whether it's partial or full. There's obviously a big need there. Healthcare is not an inexpensive thing to take on. So my job is to go into the community to share our mission, get other people passionate about it, and then to have them come into the mission by maybe helping take care of their neighbors through our Neighbor Helping Neighbor philosophy, making those donations and creating the funds so that they're available to people that need them.
So obviously your role is very critical to the services that the rehab provides, since you are providing services to people who can't pay. How big of a, or how hard of a sell is it selling the rehab?
I think anytime that you're passionate about something, it's not a sale anymore. It's me sharing of something that I'm incredibly passionate about with the community and inviting them to be a part of it. It's one of the best parts of our job is as we go into the community, we've been around 65 years. Almost everybody has a rehab story, and the most fun part about what we do is getting to hear those stories and then take them back to the clinicians that work with West Texas Rehab and say, look at these many people that you've touched, and look at these people who are sending their friends and their family because of the trust that you have created. I'm just a kind of a conduit between the two things. So it's really not a hard sell per se, it's just sharing a mission that I too am incredibly passionate about.
Is there a particular story that you've been moved by, that you've heard in your work as the Donor Relations Coordinator?
There is. Being that we're here, we have a very dear friend that has utilized the services and the strides that this child has made. Being a personal friend, we found out with them along their journey of some of the challenges that he was going to face. And here we are 2 years later, and we go to the playground, and he's a child whose growth it's immeasurable. It's things that his family is so grateful for, and it means a lot to them, and they allow us to share that story with people.
Now you are here in San Angelo because your husband is stationed at Goodfellow Air Force Base. He's a firefighting instructor. And you were named the Military Spouse of the Year at Goodfellow. Now what did you do to deserve that honor?
I have a village here that I've worked with on spouse employment, networking in the community, and one of those gals had a lot of faith in me, and to my surprise she nominated me based on my work with West Texas Rehab and with the Hiring Our Heroes Military Spouse Professional Network. So I was pretty surprised.
So now you are the co-leader of that local network, Hiring Our Heroes. Talk about what that group is and what it does.
Hiring Our Heroes, the Military Spouse Professional Network, is a program of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation, so we're funded through them. Our responsibility is to have a network at our base. Is made up of a committee of 8 ladies who come together and take care of our spouses here. So when you move base to base, about 80% of jobs are filled through referral. So when you come into a new place, you don't have a frame of reference for where to work, where to look for jobs. So many different states have different websites that you can utilize. So what we do is try to get these people together, help them network with the resources that they need. We provide support for when they're struggling along the job application process, whether it's through a civilian job or a federal job. And then we also try to continue to provide that support, but network with them with those local resources and tie them back in together. So.
And so there's a component of hiring our heroes that is just for veterans, but then for the spouses as well. So how critical is that for a spouse in particular? Because they sort of, I hate to use this phraseology, but they sort of get dragged to wherever their husband or their wife takes them.
Sure, and it's a family decision. Being a military family is just that. It's usually a family decision to stay in for however long you're going to stay. Our needs are slightly different than those of veterans because usually the veterans are transitioning out into the civilian world. So the resumes look different, the jobs look different, the verbiage looks different. As a military spouse, you're looking to maintain a career alongside your service member the duration of the time that they're serving their country. So we may be at a base for 2 years or 4 years. We may have gaps in our resume where we have a lot of students here. They may come here for 9 months and it's not really conducive for them to maintain a full-time job. So how do you take the volunteer work that you've done, convert that into a resume and fill a resume gap? So our needs are slightly different than the needs of a veteran who may be exiting and living somewhere permanently. We have to make sure that we're showing our legacy throughout those moves as we continue to move place to place to place.
Well, it's really interesting. So if someone, a spouse, can't find a job here, then you may try to direct them to some volunteer opportunity that helps them with their resume building.
Right.
And their skill building.
Exactly, exactly. So another thing that MSPN does is a lot of professional development. So we meet once a month with an employer, a volunteer organization, a school who might want to come in and speak to our spouses and let them know about the benefits that they can provide in the community, how they can be networked to opportunities and take those opportunities to their follow-on base.
So the person who nominated you said that your background as a military spouse allows you to be, quote, flexible, patient, and resilient on the job. So how do you think being married to a military member affects flexibility, patience, resilience?
Wholeheartedly. It affects it wholeheartedly. As you go through the move, nothing is certain until it's happened almost. Change is the only constant in life, and I think that applies very well to being a military spouse. You have the responsibility of starting all over again every time, so you have to be really open to those new opportunities. You have to be really open to finding new routes to success, whether it's finding a new doctor, finding a new job, finding a new school for your child. There's so many things that you end up getting wrapped up into. You have to be very organized. You have to be patient because it's not always going to happen on your timeline. Your timeline kind of belongs to someone else at that point. And resiliency is just coming back every time because you might trip a little on the way.
So people assume that being in the military just naturally facilitates leadership. Do you think the same is true of being a military spouse?
I think the only thing that naturally facilitates leadership is the person. I think that being in the military helps. There is a lot of resources available to military spouses now, to military veterans, and to active duty military when it comes to leadership, to resiliency training. But you only get out of something what you put into it. So if you want to develop those leadership skills, if you want to take action in a community, that's all up to you.
Your nominator also said your work with nonprofits proves your attitude and philosophy of putting others first. Is that something that you try to do consciously?
I think consciously, yes. I think I was raised that way. My parents were very involved in local nonprofits as we grew up, whether it was a horse rescue, the school board. I had an incredible mentor at the age of 20, 21, and there's certain experiences in life that just stick with you and you're not really sure why, but he was a vice president at the Phoenix Coyotes who I was interning with at the time, and we were having a discussion about growth and development, and he said, your one responsibility in life when you've come to a certain place is to bring other people up with you. That's a core value of leadership, and he instilled that in me when I was 20 or 21. I've built on that or tried to build on that. Leaders create more leaders, and that's one of the things I try to instill in my children, just like my parents instilled in me.
So Carie, how do you define leadership?
Leadership isn't just a word. It's not just a theory, it's an action. And it's an action that's made up of a lot of different components. those components are other actions. It's kindness, it's being brave and courage, it's building trust. Those are all actions that build a foundation to be a leader in a community. Every day when I drop my kids off, I tell them two things: be kind and be brave. And I'm hoping that someday they'll take those actions and then turn them into a more formidable action of being a leader in their community.
You know, you have not been in San Angelo all that long, about 3 years?
3 years, yeah.
So this is really a big honor for you to get this after only being here 3 years. Are you surprised at all about being one of the honorees?
I was floored. I was floored. The goal is never, this is wonderful, but the goal is to help people where they need the help. So the goal with HOH, the Hiring Our Heroes Military Spouse Professional Network, is to come to these spouses where they are, and a lot of times that means helping people one at a time with what their needs are, because their needs are so different based on the time they are in their life, based on whether they're a permanent party or a student party here. The goal was to help one person at a time, but this is a reflection of the importance of doing that, because one person goes out and helps 2 more people, and those 2 people go out and help 4 more people, and that creates a ripple effect that hopefully benefits the entire community.
Now, you told me before we started rolling cameras that you and your husband like it here. You'd like to stay for a while longer in San Angelo. What do you like about San Angelo?
Oh, the people. It's the people. We all laugh. It's that West Texas feel that anywhere you go, the door, everything that's little, they hold the door open for you. They smile at you and they say hello, right down to, you know, I had a meeting out in Bront, and it was kind of not flurrying, but that Texas sleet that day, and my donor offered to follow me to San Angelo to make sure that I got home okay, and then drive back to the ranch out in Coke County. And I was floored. People really take time and care about you as a person, not just as a military spouse or someone that's only here for a little bit of time, and that's really a unique feeling.
So Carie, as I said, it's a big honor to be one of the 20 under 40. Congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it.